Simon, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's great to be at a jazz festival. We're bumping into all my friends. Mm-hmm. It's wonderful. I walked in. We checked in after driving from Hamburg. Long drive, 8 hours. Oh. We arrived. We checked in. I turned around and in walked Lenny White and Stanley Clarke and Chick Corea. So we sat in the lobby just chatting to each other. It was great. It was really nice.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
Okay. How's the tour so far?
Tour is very good so far. We've done 4 shows, and this is our 5th show. Mm-hmm. And the band sounds amazing. Sounds really good. Okay. Yeah, and the audience is loving it because it's a brand new project. Mm-hmm. So I don't think anybody really quite knows what we're doing.
Explain it.
Explain. Right. Well, there's 3 people involved: Phillips, Pino Palladino, and myself. So it's a trio: keyboards, bass, and drums. Mm-hmm. And I've never really played in a trio scenario before. So it's very new, but there's something about it that just really works. And from the moment we sat down to play in Los Angeles, it sounded great. Mm-hmm. So we went to Japan. We played 3 shows there. We recorded the shows. I mixed this record, and it turned out great. And we thought, well, let's do some more.
Great.
And we planned this tour, and here we are.
Will there be any CDs, albums?
Oh, yeah. We've already written 2-3 new songs. Good. So, it's 2 of them we're playing tonight, too.
So how did the whole project start? Was that something you came up with?
No, it was actually Philippe. Philippe Sace moved to Los Angeles 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. I have a studio complex in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And in that I have an extra room, which I wasn't really using. I was using kind of just as an extra room, really. Yeah. It's a control room, It's like a little programming studio. Mm-hmm. And he was looking for a place, and we're old friends from Al Di Meola days, 1982. Okay. And we always got on great. And I said, well, here it is. Why don't you take this room, and when you need to use a studio, the live room, the big control room, you come in there and blah, blah, blah. So he's been in there, and he did a solo album, and I played on it. I even mixed one of the tracks. And then he got offered a tour in Japan to promote his solo album. Mm-hmm. And his dream was always to have me and Pino in the band. Oh, okay. And he thought, I wonder if this would work. Mm-hmm. And he pitched it to the Japanese promoter, and the Japanese promoter went, oh, that sounds great. So it made it possible for us to do it, because Pino's in London, and we're all pretty busy. And that's how it started. Mm-hmm. And then Philippe, I was recording and had been recording a solo album, and he heard one of the songs. He said, can we do that song? I said, sure. And then we did another one of my songs. So all of a sudden, the set list kind of was not just about Philippe's solo project. Mm-hmm. It was more about slowly morphing into us. Oh, okay. And that's where it started.
Great. So how's live on tour with these guys?
It's great. Well, that's the thing is, there's 3 of us. We've rented a car, so we drive. So it's no bus, which is lovely. We're in charge of our own timetable. Mm-hmm. No tour manager. It's just us, and we have a great crew. There's 3 in the crew. They have the truck, and they have their own timetable. Mm. So it really is lovely, actually. Mm. I'm loving it. Really loving it.
Right. Okay. You just phoned with your family. Mm-hmm. How is staying in contact with family on tour?
Well, these days it's great because we have computers, we have Skype, we have email. Mm. I mean, the only thing in the way is the time change.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the only. So, it's like at 11 o'clock in the morning, no way I'm going to ring Los Angeles. That's what was that, 2 in the morning or something. So, you just have to be always aware. When you're the one that's traveling, it's easier, I think, to keep the time change. When you're at home and you're not thinking about the rest of the world, you kind of have to go, what time are we, 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know what I mean? You have to look at the clock and kind of, right. Yeah, so keeping in touch with the time change, that's the most difficult part. But really with, internet service on a phone, and it's pretty easy. Yeah. Okay.
Let's go on stage. Is there any clip on stage? with this project especially?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really. We do 2 songs where we're running Pro Tools to have other instruments and other stuff. But aside from that, once that goes, no. It's all natural.
Also not for counting in, something like that?
No. Well, I always have a rhythm rhythm watch, a Tama rhythm watch, just so I can keep an eye on the tempos. I always look at it, but the more gigs that we do, it's funny, I've kind of got the groove, I'll hit it, and it's the same. So, the more we do it, the more we're kind of in the pocket. But I always use that because there's nothing worse than starting a song and going, shit, it's too slow, or it's too fast. Right. And I really hate that. I like it to be the right tempo. And so I use it as a guide, but once I count in, it's,
free to play.
Totally free. Yeah.
Okay.
Free rhythm.
Protection on stage, especially?
Not for me.
Not for you?
No.
Okay.
I can't use it. I just it messes with the sound so much.
Okay.
The only thing I do is when I'm running with Pro Tools, I use some in-ears, but I hate it. Hate the sound. It just closes everything up. Okay. And I'm very much a sound person, so I like to feel and hear everything. I want to hear the room. I want to hear the audience. I hate it when I put those in. I can't hear the audience. I can't hear the rattling going on. Okay. And so therefore I don't use any ear protection, but I'm also very conscious of it. I do my own monitors. I make sure I don't play too loudly. I make sure the monitors are not too loud, and really try to be sensible about it. Okay. But yeah, it's a tricky one. It is, but I don't.
Okay, do you have any program to stay in shape on tour? Or before a tour or something like that?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
You just are always in shape?
Well, no, not really. It's the reality of doing it is just so tricky. I mean, I always say to myself, and I said to myself for this tour, 2 weeks before, I'm going to practice every day, and I'm going to maybe do some running. I never had time because when I thought I looked at the diary and I thought, wow, I've got some, got like a free 10 days here. No, something happened. A call came in. I had to do a set, and then it was gone.
Okay.
So no, I'm the worst actually about preparing. I just go on stage and do it, and within 2 or 3 gigs, hopefully, I'm back up to that level.
Okay.
No, I've always been bad at that.
Are there any hobbies besides drumming you do? Is there anything you'd like to do?
I used to motor race.
Motor race?
And that's a hobby that I love doing, and I really miss it.
Okay.
It's since I moved to America, it's been a lot more difficult to do because it's not. It's just not very readily available in the States. Europe is a great racing area. And England is kind of the centre of motor racing, really, of the world. Nearly all the teams are based in England. Okay. And even if they're not, like Ferrari, they have a lot of English mechanics and systems managers and stuff like that. Okay. It's just a very European thing. So it's quite easy to kind of phone somebody up and book a testing day and get a car and get out on the circuit. You can do that. In the States, it's such a big, vast country, you have to fly hundreds of miles to do that. And I don't really know anybody in racing there, so I miss that. I try to get into a go-kart sometimes when I can, but yeah, I used to love that. So I follow it in television. I follow all the Formula One races. And,
Okay. Looking at young drummers, what skill would you say do they have in order to survive the business, to get a great drummer, to become a great drummer?
That's two different things. That's two different questions. Becoming a great drummer and surviving the business.
Okay.
They don't work. They're totally horizontally opposed.
Okay, let's split the question.
Let's split it up, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
What about becoming a great drummer?
Well, it's interesting. I'm finding at the moment that I think a lot of young drummers are really just losing the way. They're not doing it for the right reasons. Musicality, I'm really lacking in most young drummers. There seems to be this thing that's happening in all areas too. It's not just music, it's in sport, it's everything. Everything has become like extreme. And there's all these drummers around doing shit which I frankly cannot do. I don't even know what they're doing. But I'm sitting there going, I bet they don't get to do that with the band that they're in. And it's not very musical.
Okay.
It's all pyrotechnics.
Yeah.
And to me, I was never that kind of player.
Okay.
Believe it or not, even though I'm fairly technical, my background is always playing music, playing songs. That's how I learned.
Yeah.
The technique I got into later, funnily enough. And I think that's really missing from a lot of young players, not only in their playing, but in their concept.
Okay.
And I really wish that there would be more emphasis on playing music and making it feel good and, and getting their sound, getting a great sound out of the drum kit.
So technique should serve the music.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about being the fastest with your feet, fastest with your hand, playing 5 with one limb and 7 with the other. But you can't dance to it, and it sounds horrible.
Yeah,
I mean, it's very staggering to watch. I mean, I'm going like, wow, look at this cat. Playing it like Frankfurt Messe, for example. You see some guy in there, and it's just like, I'm usually with some older drummers, like maybe Kenny Aronoff or Will Calhoun or something, and we're going, wow, this guy's amazing. I mean, but we're also going, what is he doing? I don't know. I have no idea. Yet, ask him to play a 4/4 groove, and it'll probably be terrible.
Okay, that's not
stiff, and because that's what they don't really do that. They don't really get it. So that's my big kind of complaint at the moment with young drummers, and that's what I try to get across when I do drum workshops. I always try to get that across. It's the most important thing is to be able to play music, and play any kind of music and any kind of song. So they just have to listen to more varied types of music. I think that's what it is.
Okay, what about surviving the business?
Oh boy, well, it's becoming a very, very difficult business, mainly because I think there are just too many musicians out there. There's too many artists and not enough audience, really. And you look at MySpace, I mean, everybody wants to be an artist now. And it's a bit of a shame. Everybody thinks they can become a rock star by picking up a guitar, getting the right haircut and wearing the right clothes and learning a couple of chords. I mean, that's always been around, but it seems like it's even more now. There doesn't seem to be this dedication to learn how to play your instrument. And this dedication to the fact that once you start, you're going to be doing that for the rest of your life. It's an instrument is not something you learn in 5 years.
Right.
Not like learning to drive. It's or getting a diploma. it's something that you'll be doing and learning for the rest of your life. And you know the funny thing is, you'll get to 60 or 70 and you still won't be able to do it the way that you want to do it.
Okay.
And if you do, then you might as well give up. You know, so it's
always learning.
And I think that's the attitude. But from the business point of view, it's very tricky, and I don't know how young artists and young musicians do it. You've got to be very resourceful, extremely resourceful. We have now. We can't just releasing our album. I mean, we're having to figure out different ways to market it, to sell it, because we basically can't afford to record now. Because nobody's going to pay for the recording. Who's going to pay for it? Record companies aren't going to pay for it. You've got to give them the product.
Right.
I mean, I've never heard of that before. If you make beer, you sell your beer wholesale to the retailer.
Yeah.
You know, but music is like, we don't have to pay for music. It's like it's free. And I think it's very, very wrong.
Okay.
You know, that's our livelihood that's going down. It's the same as a poet or a writer. You know, I think the book business is in a better state because books are selling. But CDs, you know, it's tough. It's really tough.
Perhaps it goes around the iTunes thing and things like that.
Well, yeah, but you know, that's with us to stay. And I do a lot of downloading. I mean, I pay for it. I love the ease of being in a hotel room going, I want to hear that Quincy Jones song from 1969. And I'll search and I go, there it is, you know, and I download it. And bang, there it is. And that's fantastic, especially for research too. You know, you're doing a song and you want to kind of explain a certain style, you can go on and just download it and play it to everybody in the studio. Oh yeah, I mean, that's great. But it's still got to be paid for. And our intellectual rights have to be paid for.
Yeah.
You know, so I think we've got a huge problem right now. So it's like I say, as a musician, in order to get anywhere business-wise, you have to be very resourceful and very inventive too. Yeah, and that's where the good businessman or the good entrepreneur comes in. Yeah, true. It's not just about playing your instrument.
Things like that. I heard about the Joy Jordison, the Slipknot drummer, who is also the manager of the band and all, does the whole stuff around.
Really, that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really,
he's like a workaholic.
Well, good for him.
Yeah, good and I think that's the most important point, because he's not the best drummer in the world if something like that exists. Right. But he's a very good businessman. Right. I heard that.
Oh, that's great. And if he's getting work for his band, that's what a musician wants.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
All they want to do is work and get paid and have lead a reasonable life. Yeah, you know, it's not much to ask, but it's going to be very hard to do.
For the future, what can we expect from Simon Phillips? Are there any DVDs coming out of practice?
I might do another DVD. I was supposed to do one this year. We just ran out of time. They're really hard work doing those, and it took me 10 years to do my first one. In other words, 10 years of DCI asking me to do it, and I never wanted to do it because my argument was, well, I may feel like this about something now, but I might change my mind in 5 years.
Well, you could do something like the natural evolution Dave used to do.
Yeah, it does take a lot of planning and a lot of work, and I've got to set aside that time. But I am supposed to do one next year with Alfred Publishing. Okay. So,
great.
Hopefully. Yeah. Aside from that, I really hope my solo album is going to get done. I've recorded 5 songs so far, and I hope that with PSP we're going to do our studio record and do some more touring too.
Okay.
I'd like to bring the band back to Europe in the summer and really put the band on the map. It seems that people really like it. So and it's fun, and if we can start making a living out of it, it'd be great.
Yeah. Okay. Being a living legend, Simon Phillips. I mean, the name is known on the whole world. How do you feel about that? Is there a certain feeling?
I don't know.
It's just a big word.
I don't really think of it. You know, I mean, I'm not the only one. You know, there's a lot of others who are huge legends. You know, and in fact, in the lobby yesterday, Lenny White walks in. I mean, I was a little kid sitting behind his kit, in 1975.
Okay.
Those are legends. Chick Corea, I was talking to Chick Corea yesterday, and I used to work with Stanley. But they're still legends to me. They're still, icons.
Yeah.
And I still look up to them very, very much. And I think that's something you should never forget. I think another thing which I experienced when I was younger and getting a name for myself, I was being a little bit cocky about it. Especially with, I played with, a little bit with Chick. I played with Stanley. I played with Jeff Beck. And suddenly I was like sharing, drinks with them and everything. I was thinking, oh, this is great. But funny enough, now I'm a bit older. I've kind of gone back to being a kid again. Okay. Thinking, wow, this is, a great icon. So I don't look at it like that. I mean, part of me has obviously, I've been doing this is 40 years this year. I've been professional for 40 years. I started professionally when I was 12 years old. Okay. And the youngest guy in the band was 30. So, yeah, one side of you thinks you're very experienced and you've done an awful lot and blah, blah, blah. But on the other hand, you still just don't look at it like that. Okay. You still want to be good at your craft and you still want to play music well. And to me, it's always a challenge every night. I sit down and I want to play well and I want to play this music well. Yeah. I never think of it like that. Okay. It's nice when people say it. I think the funniest thing was when, the band Status Quo? Yeah, of course. I bumped into them in 1984. This is a long time ago. In Geneva. I was doing a record with Mike Oldfield. I was co-producing, co-engineering. And we went to Geneva to see the show. And they invited us back to the hotel. And we're sitting down having drinks. And Francis Rossi, he was a real sweetheart. He said, we're talking. And then he'd go around and he said, do you know who this is? This is a living legend. Right? This is Simon. And I thought, come on, you guys are the legends, And I was really young. Okay. But it was just really sweet how he kind of did that, which was just nice, So, it's all... Just never lose your sense of humour. Yeah. And don't take yourself too seriously. Because there's always somebody who can do it all better than you anyway. So,
Very humble.
Yeah, it's just reality,
Okay. Sam Phillips, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
For your precious time, this unscheduled interview. Yeah. The whole drumming department likes to thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.